Elon Musk fires a janitor? But when he learns the truth, he breaks down in tears. The California dawn bled crimson through the floor-to-ceiling windows of SpaceX HQ, painting the sterile white corridors in shades of warning. Elon Musk's shadow stretched long and gaunt across the polished concrete as he marched toward the executive wing, the rhythmic click of his Saint Laurent loafers echoing like a countdown. Somewhere in the building's bowels, a pressure valve hissed. He smelled the janitor before he saw him, the acrid tang of industrial bleach undercut by something distinctly human, sweat, cheap laundry detergent, and the faint metallic whisper of blood. "Mr. Musk, sir?" The voice was gravel wrapped in sandpaper. Carlos Mendoza stood hunched near the custodial closet, his navy uniform hanging loose on a frame that had once been muscular. Deep fissures carved his leathery face, intersecting at the jagged scar running from left temple to jawline, a souvenir from some forgotten war. His right hand clutched a mop handle like a lifeline, the left trembled at his side, fingers permanently curled from decades of wringing out toxic chemicals. Elon didn't break stride. "You're blocking the hallway. I know I was late again last night. Third time this month." Elon finally stopped, thumb scrolling through production reports on his tablet. The screen cast blue ghosts across his sharp features. "You signed the same attendance policy as every other employee." The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead. Carlos's throat worked silently as he stared at Elon's $300,000 Patek Philippe watch, each tick marking another second closer to eviction. His wife's chemotherapy appointment flashed through his mind. The final notice from Children's Hospital where their granddaughter lay intubated. The eviction notice nailed to their trailer door. "My wife Maria," Carlos began, then choked when Elon's icy gaze snapped up. "That's what FMLA is for." Elon tapped his screen, pulling up the termination form. "Your badge will be deactivated by noon. Security will escort you out." A drop of sweat traced Carlos's scar before vanishing into his collar. His cracked lips moved soundlessly, whispering a prayer in Spanish that Elon's assistant Emily caught from her desk. "Dios, dame fuerza para no decir quien soy." As Carlos turned toward the service elevator, something slipped from his worn jacket pocket, a tarnished keychain bearing the crest of Pretoria Primary School. 1989, it clattered against the concrete, the sound like a bullet in the silent hallway. Emily scooped it up, her French manicure catching the light. "Sir?" Her voice trembled as she turned the keychain over, revealing crude engraving, "To C. Mendoza, thank you for saving our star child." Elon's breath hitched. 1994, the school dumpsters. 9-year-old Elon curled around his empty lunchbox, pretending his stomach wasn't screaming. The scrape of work boots on asphalt. "Here, star child." A calloused hand offering half a peanut butter sandwich. "Every damn day." The secret inhaler Carlos kept in his janitor cart when Elon's asthma attacked. The night the bullies locked Elon in the chemical closet, until Carlos took the beating meant for him. The elevator doors slid open to reveal Carlos's slumped silhouette. Just before they closed, Elon caught the old man rubbing his sternum, the exact spot where Elon's childhood asthma had always hurt worst. Emily gasped. The security feed on her monitor showed Carlos collapsing in the parking lot, his body convulsing as he fumbled with his phone. The camera zoomed in enough to see him cancel the 911 call, lips moving. "No puedo, la ambulancia cuesta." Elon's tablet clattered to the floor. The parking lot asphalt burned through Elon's Tom Ford dress shoes as he sprinted toward the convulsing figure, but it was the smell that hit him first, the coppery tang of blood mixing with industrial cleaner and something distinctly human, something dying. Carlos lay curled around his janitor's keys like a fallen soldier clutching his dog tags, each ragged breath producing pink froth at his lips. "Jesus Christ." Elon skidded to his knees, his $8,000 suit soaking up motor oil as he rolled the old man over. Up close, the damage was apocalyptic. Burst capillaries painted spiderwebs across Carlos's sclera, his yellowed teeth clenched against what Elon realized was decades of unvoiced pain. Emily arrived with a med kit, her designer heels clicking like a countdown. "Sir, security called 911 but no ambulances." Elon's voice surprised even himself. He ripped open Carlos's stained uniform shirt, revealing a chest crisscrossed with scars, some surgical, some clearly not. The most recent, a livid red incision taped with what looked like duct tape and paper towels, seeped something foul. Carlos's hand shot up with preternatural strength, his calloused fingers gripping Elon's wrist. "No. Hospital," he gasped in a voice like grinding tectonic plates. "They'll take her insurance." The Tesla parked 20 feet away suddenly made Elon feel sick. Its gleaming chrome reflected the scene back at him, the billionaire kneeling in filth, the dying man who smelled of bleach and nobility. Then he saw it. Tucked in Carlos's waistband, a folded sheaf of papers. Elon pulled them free with shaking hands. The top page. Final notice, Los Angeles County Medical Center. Patient, Maria Elena Mendoza Rivera. Treatment, stage 4 small cell carcinoma. Outstanding balance, $487,632.15. Eviction proceedings initiated, 48 hours. Beneath it, a pawn shop receipt for a wedding band, $217.50, and a handwritten note in Spanish that Emily translated in a whisper, Mi vida, sell everything. Keep star child secret. He's almost there. The world tilted. Elon's vision tunneled to a single detail, the date on the medical bill. 3 days before the Falcon Heavy launch. The launch Carlos had worked triple shifts to prepare for. The launch he'd watched from a janitor's closet because he couldn't afford the $500 employee viewing party ticket. Get my car, Elon heard himself say. We're taking him to Cedars-Sinai. Carlos's head thrashed. No. They'll find her. It was the terror in those milky brown eyes that undid Elon. Not pain. Not even fear of death. The sheer panic at the thought of his wife being discovered. A memory detonated behind Elon's eyes. 1997, the school nurse's office. Young Elon wheezing as the bully's stolen asthma inhaler sprayed empty. Carlos bursting in with a smuggled albuterol canister. Breathe, star child. The way the janitor's hands shook not from the effort, but from the risk. Undocumented immigrants didn't get second chances. The present snapped back with Emily's scream. Carlos had stopped breathing, his lips blooming blue. Elon did the only thing he could think of, he slammed his fist down on the old man's chest. The crack of breaking ribs echoed across the parking lot. Carlos's eyes flew open as he sucked in a wet, shuddering breath. For one crystalline moment, their gazes locked, the billionaire and the janitor, the pupil and the protector. Then the seizure returned with vengeance. Elon's phone was in his hand before he'd made the conscious decision. Cancel all meetings. Liquidate $20 million in Tesla stock. His voice sounded alien even to himself. And find Maria Mendoza. Now. As the call disconnected, Elon noticed something glinting in Carlos's clenched fist, a SpaceX employee badge from 2008, the photo showing a much younger, healthier Carlos smiling beneath the words, proud to be part of the mission. The edges were worn smooth from a decade of secret touching. The first raindrops began to fall as Elon cradled the dying man's head in his lap, his Italian wool trousers soaking up blood and bourbon and decades of unpaid debt. Somewhere beyond the parking lot, a Falcon 9 roared into the sky, its thunder shaking the ground like the footsteps of approaching gods. The rain had turned to needles by the time Elon's Model X screeched into the Cedars-Sinai emergency bay. Through the blood-streaked windshield, the hospital lights pulsed like a failing star. Carlos convulsed between Elon and Emily in the back seat, his breathing now a wet rattle that fogged the Tesla's bulletproof glass in greasy spirals. Move! Elon kicked the door open into a swarm of gurneys and shouting orderlies. The scent of antiseptic and industrial cleaner clashed with Carlos's coppery sweat as they lifted him onto a stretcher. A nurse recoiled at the duct tape bandage. GSW, she barked, fingers probing the oozing wound. Elon froze. That's a gunshot? The nurse's glare could have melted tungsten. 4 hours old. You his shooter? Before Elon could process this, Emily gasped. She'd found Carlos's wallet, and the VA card tucked behind a photo of a smiling woman. Sir, he's a decorated Marine. Purple Heart recipient. The ER doors burst open. A tiny woman in a soaked housekeeper's uniform charged through the triage line, her salt and pepper braid whipping like a live wire. When she saw Carlos, the sound she made wasn't human. It was the howl of a galaxy collapsing. Maria. Elon knew her instantly, not from Carlos's stories, but from the way her hands moved. The same gentle precision as she cradled her husband's face that Carlos had used handing a 9-year-old Elon peanut butter sandwiches. The same tremor in her left pinky. ¿Por qué lo trajiste aquí? Maria wheeled on Elon, her English shattered by panic. They'll deport us. They'll. A monitor flatlined. Code blue alarms shrieked as doctors descended on Carlos like a swarm. Maria's knees buckled. Elon caught her, and felt the tumors through her thin uniform. Dozens of them, hard as marbles beneath her skin. The world narrowed to a single point, the immigration notice in Maria's pocket. A final deportation order dated tomorrow at 9 a.m. Elon's phone buzzed. A text from his CFO, liquidation complete. $20 million cleared. For the janitor? Then, cutting through the chaos, a doctor's voice, we need his donor records. Now. Maria went still. From her braid, she produced a yellowed envelope sealed with what looked like peanut butter. Her hands shook as she offered it to Elon. Para ti, she whispered. Desdi 1997. The paper inside was brittle as autumn leaves. Elon unfolded it carefully, revealing a bone marrow donor form. The recipient name hit like a kinetic strike. May Madeline Musk, née Haldeman. Diagnosis, type 1 diabetes mellitus with severe complications. Donor, Carlos Arturo Mendoza. Procedure date, March 14, 1997. Notes, donor refused payment. Requested file be sealed until recipient's son achieves dream worthy of sacrifice. The hospital noises faded. Elon's knees hit the linoleum. 1997, his mother's miraculous recovery. The mysterious donor they'd never found. The day Elon first sketched the Mars Colonial Transporter on a napkin. Carlos had been there for all of it. Silent. Unseen. A new alarm blared. The doctor shouted something about massive hemothorax and last rites. Maria collapsed onto the gurney, her lips pressed to Carlos's ear as she sang a lullaby in Mixtec, the same one young Elon had heard through the school's air vents on the days the bullying was worst. Then came the sound that would haunt Elon forever, the wet, tearing gasp as Carlos's body arched off the table. His milky eyes found Elon's one last time. His chapped lips formed two silent words. Star Child. The flatline tone was deafening. Elon expected Maria to scream. To rage. Instead, she carefully folded Carlos's hands over the SpaceX badge on his chest and turned to Elon with eerie calm. Now you know, she said in perfect English. My husband gave your mother his marrow. His youth. His citizenship papers when ICE came. She pressed the donor form to Elon's chest. But you? You took his dignity. The truth detonated in Elon's gut. Carlos hadn't just been fired today. He'd been terminated from SpaceX 3 times before, each rehire at lower pay, each disappearance coinciding with another of Elon's milestones. The Falcon 1 launch. The first Tesla IPO. The Boring Company breakthrough. Always vanishing before anyone could connect the dots. A nurse approached with paperwork. Maria recoiled. No ambulances. No autopsies. We have. She faltered, eyeing the deportation order. Elon's phone buzzed again. His security team found the wife's trailer. Should we? He typed one word, burn it. Then he took Maria's hand, the one with the wedding band tan line, and pressed his forehead to her knuckles. When he looked up, his tears had washed Carlos's blood into the weave of his $10,000 suit. Come home, he whispered. And for the first time in 30 years, Elon Musk wept. The morning of Carlos Mendoza's funeral dawned with an unseasonable chill, the Santa Monica skyline blurred behind a curtain of marine fog. Elon stood motionless at the window of his Bel Air mansion, watching as the first news van staked their positions outside the gates. His reflection in the bulletproof glass looked hollow, dark circles under bloodshot eyes, the stubble of 3 sleepless nights shadowing his jaw. On the bed behind him lay 3 items. A peanut butter-smeared napkin from 1994, its faded Sharpie message still legible, for Star Child, reach higher than the dumpsters. A freshly printed deed for a small cemetery plot in Pretoria, South Africa. A burner phone with one saved contact, Maria, do not call unless emergency. The door creaked open. Emily entered, her usual crisp professionalism frayed at the edges. Sir, the press release is ready. But the legal team is begging you to reconsider. Read it again, Elon interrupted, his voice gravel. Emily swallowed. SpaceX announces the Carlos Arturo Mendoza Memorial Wing at Children's Hospital Los Angeles, with free care for undocumented families. Initial endowment, $500 million. She hesitated. The board says this could trigger. Good. Elon turned, his gaze falling on the live feed from the funeral home. Maria sat alone in the front pew, her spine straight despite the tumors devouring her body. The casket before her was closed, by doctor's orders, given what the bullets had done to Carlos's chest. Elon's fingers twitched toward the burner phone. Then the security alert blared. Intruder detected, East Gate. The monitor flashed to a camera feed showing a mob of protesters, their signs screaming, "Deport the illegals," and "Musk betrays America." At the center stood Congressman Richard Vaughn, his tailored suit and slicked-back hair gleaming under the news cameras as he spat into a microphone. Today we bury an illegal who scammed taxpayers for decades. And Elon Musk wants to make him a hero? Elon's vision tunneled. He remembered Vaughn's name from Maria's deportation papers, the congressman who'd personally signed the order. The Tesla CEO moved suddenly, snatching a black duffel from his closet. Emily's eyes widened as he unzipped it, revealing not weapons, but stacks of yellowing paperwork. Sir, what is this? Receipts, Elon said coldly. The first page, a 1997 ICE report listing Carlos's confidential cooperation in exposing a human trafficking ring, the reason his green card application was lost. The second, bank statements showing Vaughn's offshore accounts, funded by the same traffickers Carlos had helped imprison. Elon stuffed the documents back, his voice eerily calm. "Tell legal I'm invoking the Mansfield Protocol." Emily paled. The obscure SpaceX clause allowed the CEO to launch any payload, no questions asked. The funeral procession crawled through downtown LA, flanked by silent crowds. Maria rode in the lead car, clutching the urn containing Carlos's ashes against her stomach. She didn't flinch when the protesters' screams pierced the glass. Then the sky split open. A sonic boom shook the city as the Falcon Heavy streaked overhead, its usual SpaceX logo replaced by a single word in Carlos's handwriting, Estrella. The protesters fell silent as 10,000 sheets of paper rained down, each one a copy of Vaughn's crimes, each stamped with the congressional seal. Maria finally smiled when one landed in her lap, revealing a handwritten addendum. The launch cost $30 million. Watching Vaughn panic? Priceless. Star Child. That night, Elon stood alone in Carlos's janitor closet at SpaceX. The tiny space smelled of bleach and old books. On the wall, hidden behind a poster of Mars, he found the truth Carlos had died to protect. A shrine. Every SpaceX launch photo. Every Tesla magazine cover. Every childhood report card Elon thought had been lost. All meticulously preserved behind radiation-proof glass. At the center hung a single artifact, the asthma inhaler Carlos had stolen for him in 1995. Elon sank to his knees. The dam broke. Somewhere beyond the stars, a Marine and a janitor finally received his salute. This is how legends are born. Like to honor Carlos. Share to expose the truth. Subscribe, because heroes come in all uniforms.